Alrighty, hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cryptic Coil, and in today's video, I have a book haul for you, and it's gonna be kind of a long one. So before I get into it, let me just say I hope that everyone watching this had a very happy Thanksgiving. And also, before I get into my book haul, let me show you my latest coffee mug. Coffee has become my new thing. I gave up soda. I used to get my caffeine from Dr. Pepper, but I decided to give up soda, started drinking coffee, and now I have a pretty cool collection of coffee mugs. And I just picked this one up last night from TJ Maxx, and it was only like $7.99. It's not microwave safe. It's not dishwasher safe, but that's okay. I can just hand wash it. I also have one very similar to this one, but it's a Jason Voorhees one, and I found that at a thrift store some time ago. But it's cool. They also had a Jack Skellington one, so if anyone's interested, I mean, you can go pick one up at your local TJ Maxx. Not sponsored by them, but I wish I were. And if they make any money off of that, you're welcome, TJ Maxx. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this book haul. Okay, like I said, it is kind of a long one, and I just want to start off by getting this one out of the way. So this is Britney Spears' autobiography. It's called The Woman in Me. I believe it came out this year or maybe last year. Okay, last year, 2023. I've seen this one on the shelves at like Walmart and Target. This one, I really enjoy reading celebrity autobiographies. I am a Britney Spears fan. I mean, it's not like I have all her albums, on my iTunes, or it's not like I've ever seen her in concert or have any T-shirts or anything like that. But she first, came out when I was like 12 years old, and so I kind of grew up with her, even though her kind of pop wasn't really my genre, but she was all over the radio. She was all over MTV and TRL, and she had so many historical pop culture moments. I pretty much grew up with her, and to tell you the truth, I am a fan, and I'm not ashamed. Okay, proud Britney Spears fan right here. I mean, not like her biggest fan, but I'm a fan. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next book. Let me knock out these vintage Apple paperbacks right away. Let me knock out like middle grade first, then I'll move on to young adult, then I'll move on to adult. That's how I'll do it. So I found this one. It's called 13 Scary Ghost Stories. The cover's in excellent condition, and the spine is perfectly healthy and holding onto all the pages as well as it did the day it was printed. But, you know, whoever owned it did a little bit of a number on it, tore the corner off this page, scribbled all over it with pen. I suspect that, no, I mean, the cover's in, decent condition. I mean, but it's called 13 Scary Ghost Stories, previously published as That's Ghosts for You, 13 Scary Stories, edited by Marianne Caruso. Real quick, let me open up the table of contents, and I'm looking to see if I recognize any of these authors. I don't. But this was published in the year 2000, and that's pretty much vintage at this point. I believe that the definition of vintage is anything 20 years old or older, and this is 24 years old, soon to be 25 years old. So, it's a quarter of a century old. So that's definitely vintage as far as I'm concerned. So it's cool that I found that. Then I found this vintage Apple paperback, and it's called Railway Ghosts and Highway Horrors by Daniel Cohen. And that's the cover. Very cool looking cover. There's a car driving down the highway, Route 62, in the middle of the night. There's lightning in the sky, and there's this demonic looking man bat creature on the cover as well. And let's go ahead and just look to see what year this was published. 1991. But the first scholastic printing, it was from 1992, so I would have been like in first grade or second grade. And let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. Feel like taking a little late night journey? Beware. Those eerie shadows along the road and blood curdling cries in the dark might be more than figments of your imagination. Ghastly tales of railway ghosts and highway horrors are infamous. Have you heard of the headless brakeman who warns of approaching danger on the railway? Or the screaming, faceless phantoms who strike terror along the roadways? These and other spine-chilling stories are based on actual reports that will spook even non-believers. Are they in fact true? Do such supernatural beings exist? Only you can decide. So that was really cool. I actually saw this book not too long ago at another or I picked some of these books up yesterday on Black Friday at a local bookstore, and they have from time to time they do get a pretty good inventory of vintage young adult and middle grade horror, and even adult horror. And so I go there every couple months to see if they have anything new. And I went yesterday on Black Friday, and I picked this one up. But I did find this one about a month ago at another or at a local thrift store, but it wasn't in good condition. This one is in like near mint condition. I'd say mint condition because the cover offers resistance when I try to open it. And the pages haven't yellowed with age, and the spine is as healthy as it was the day the book was printed. So this is going to be my collector's copy, and I think I'm going to go back to that thrift store and see if that other copy is still there and buy it, and that will be my reading copy. Then I found this vintage Apple paperback, and it's called Emil and the Detectives by Eric Kastner. And this is another one that I picked up from that local bookstore yesterday on Black Friday. And it looks like it was copyrighted in 1929, but I highly doubt this was printed in 1929. I think it was reprinted somewhere over the years, and for whatever reason, Apple Scholastic decided not to print what year they reprinted it. But this was an exciting find because I think that you guys know how much I love finding these vintage Apple paperbacks. And it's like in mint condition. As old as it is, it's never been read because the cover offers resistance when I open it. So that's really cool. Is that the last of my vintage Apple paperbacks? I want to say yes. I want to say it is. Hang on, let me... I think so. I think so. Okay. Well, no, it's not. Okay, so at a local thrift store, like last week, I found this. This is an ex-library copy that used to belong to a local middle school, and it's in hardback. I already have numerous copies of this book by Betty Wright. The title is The Dollhouse Murders. I have the paperback version with this cover, but I also have this book with variant covers as well. I really enjoy finding ex-library copies at the thrift stores because they're typically in hardback, and so the covers are always in nice condition. And so this was a really fun, exciting find for me, and I believe that is the last of my vintage Apple paperbacks. Oh, and the cool thing about this one, though, I love it when instead of the apple, it's a jack-o'-lantern. and it's an apple chiller. So I always love finding those. I want to knock like middle grade out of the way. Or, yeah. Sorry, excuse me. I'm just clearing my throat. All right. So this was an exciting find. I don't. So I found another K.R. Alexander book, and it's called Last Laugh. And there's this creepy looking clown on the front cover. Sorry, excuse me. The tagline on the front reads, "Nighty night, sleep tight. Don't let the clown bite." And the cover's a little bit beat up, but it's not that bad. Good, healthy spine. I don't know if it was ever read or not because the pages offer a little bit of resistance when I flip through them. And there's not like any creasing along the spine, just a little, some bent corners and stuff on the cover, but, it's not that bad. I've seen a lot worse. It looks like this book is actually from this year, if I remember correctly. And I picked this one up at a local thrift store last week. But the spine is perfectly healthy. Let's go ahead and read the summary on back. There's nothing funny about pure evil. For as long as they can remember, Victor and Genevieve have been told there is one room in their grandmother's house that is absolutely off limits. Nobody will say what's inside, just that the door is never to be opened. This only makes Victor more curious, so when he and his sister are alone in the house, he takes his chance inside. They find a vast collection of clown dolls, each sinister in its own way. Once the door is open, the clowns will not be contained. They break out into the world, and that's no laughing matter. Can they be stopped? So that sounds like a really cool, fun read. I need to get around to reading some of this author's books because I have a number of them at this point. All right. I found another vintage Apple paperback, and it's called Angie's First Case by Donald J. Sobel, author of the Encyclopedia Brown Mysteries. And you see this young boy and this young girl on the cover. I don't know what's going on here. Let's go ahead and read the summary on back. Here's Angie Zane. She's 12 and ready for anything. She and her older sister Kit, a police officer, live in Dayesville, Florida. Her good friend is Jess Berg. Here are the facts. A teenage gang, the Wolfpack, has been breaking into empty houses. Angie decides to crack the case for Kit. Here's the plan. Angie jogs through town looking for clues. Jess uses his binoculars. Nothing makes sense until they witness a gunfight. But it's too late. Angie and Jess have been kidnapped. Will Angie and Jess be able to get past their guard, a Doberman Pinscher? Okay, that sounds pretty exciting. Let's go ahead and see what year this was published. 1981. Wow, half a decade older than me. Very cool. And I'm pretty sure that that's the last of my vintage Apple paperbacks. I do have some R.L. Stines. Let me show you the first one. The first one is from the Nightmare Room series, and it's called Camp Nowhere. And the tagline on the front reads, "Open the door to terror," and look at the cover. So you see this little boy's face, and you see one instance where the little boy's face does not have glowing eyes, but all the rest of his faces do have glowing eyes. I like the cover on this. I like the colors on this cover. Oh, and there's kind of a little holographic feature around the bottom perimeter. That's cool. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. Russell is a little worried about summer camp this year. He's a senior camper, which means he has to go on the senior trip. It's a wild and dangerous canoe ride over Forbidden Falls. Some counselors tell a story about the senior campers who went over the falls and were never seen again. But that can't be true, can it? Russell climbs into the canoe despite his fear, but he doesn't know he's really paddling straight into the nightmare room. Coming soon, it's the Summer of Fear. Don't miss R.L. Stine's terrifying three-part The Nightmare Room trilogy. Part 1, Fear Games. Okay, so I don't believe that this book has ever been read because the cover offers resistance when I try to open it. The pages have not yellowed with age, and it's in mint condition, and it looks like it was printed in 2001, so it's definitely vintage. Very cool find. I found it at a local thrift store about a week ago for less than $2. And it talked about the next book, the one coming soon, the first part in a trilogy. I also happened to find that very same day at that very same thrift store for less than $2. The Nightmare Room, book 1 in the trilogy, Fear Games. And the cover reads, Run for Your Life. And that's a pretty cool looking cover. You know, there's a young lady with crazy red glowing eyes on a tropical beach as the sun is setting. You know, nice looking cover. I like it. The summary on the back reads, 12 ultra smart, ultra competitive kids have been selected to take part in a survival competition called Life Games. Not only will they have to overcome the dangers of life on a tropical island, they'll also have to face the evil presence that lives there, waiting for its next victim. Fear Games 1. April can't wait to go to the Life Games competition. Only 11 other kids were chosen to take part in the tough physical challenges, and April knows she will survive and win the $100,000 prize. What poor April doesn't know is that an ancient evil will be playing in the games as well, and what April will really be competing for is her life. Wow. That sounds really fun. I hope that I can find the other two in this trilogy. And the fact that it's called Fear Games, I wonder if there are some Fear Street Easter eggs in it. Like if it ties this universe to the Fear Street universe. That would be cool. And again, this one's in mint condition. I don't believe it's ever been read. This one was also printed in 2001. Really cool that I found these two. And what I like about this is that it sounds like it's a retelling of the short story, The Most Dangerous Game. That short story has been retold a number of times. There was a movie from the 90s starring Ice Cube called Surviving the Game, which was essentially the same exact plot. Then, of course, there's the Hunger Games, but it sounds like this is a retelling of The Most Dangerous Game with a supernatural twist, which sounds really cool. Then I got this book, and this is a very exciting find. This is book number 18 in the Spine Tingler series, and it's called Mirror, Mirror. And, of course, the Spine Tinglers series was written by an author named M.T. Coffin. Very cool pen name. Good looking cover. You know, it's got a little ghost zombie boy in this vintage oval shaped mirror and all this like fog. The tagline on the front reads, "Who is the scariest face of all?" And oh wow, I guess this book was originally sold at Kmart, and it was originally priced $2.99. Okay. I do have one book review on my channel. I did read one Spine Tingler's book when I was a kid. It was book number 5, Check It Out and Die. The story has stuck with me throughout all these years, nearly 30 years later. I still remember it very well. It was a good story. But, and I do have, a modest collection of these Spine Tinglers books, but not all the Spine Tinglers books sound appealing to me. But this is one that does, so I hope I get to read it. But this one right here actually goes for some pretty big bucks online. So if you can find it on eBay or Amazon, you're gonna pay a pretty penny for it. The deeper you get into the series, the more expensive these books get. The first five are, pretty reasonably priced, but some of those just don't sound very appealing to me. But anyway, let's go ahead and read the synopsis on the back. The Face of Evil. Jake wishes he could just be left alone. The school bully is making his life miserable with one mean trick after another, and his 5-year-old twin sisters never give him a moment's peace at home. But now Jake has an even bigger problem. He's being haunted by a face. At first, Jake thinks he's looking at his own reflection on the back of a spoon, but when the face winks at him and he knows he hadn't winked, now he sees the face everywhere, in shop windows, hubcaps, silver pots, even the ring binders of his notebook, and it looks mean and evil. Yet when the face offers to give Jake the power to change his luck, he thinks his troubles are over. Boy, is he wrong. Dead wrong. So that sounds like, pretty good. This just sounds like a fun read. And this was printed in February of 1997, so I would have been about 11 years old, but I didn't have this one when I was a kid, so it's cool that I have it now. All right, I have a couple more middle grade ones. I have this Del Yearling book. Now, you constantly hear me say things on this channel like, oh, I just love finding these vintage Apple paperback books. Oh, I just love finding these Fear Street reprints. Oh, I just love finding these tour horror books, zebra horror books, leisure horror books. My new thing is that I enjoy finding these Del Yearling books. My collection has really grown, and so this one sounded like really fun. I don't remember where I found it. I think I might have found it at that place, that local bookstore yesterday. But it's called Squib by Nina Bodden. And I mean, it's in almost mint condition. It's just got this little, flaw on the back corner. But, that's negligible to me. I mean, it's still near mint/mint as far as I'm concerned. Let's go ahead and read the synopsis on back. Who is he? Where does he come from? And who does he belong to? 12-year-old Kate Polak's younger brother was lost in a swimming accident, and Kate refuses to believe that he is gone forever. Could the strange little boy Kate sees in the park be Rupert after all these years? Kate won't rest until she finds the truth. See, that sounds like a really good story right there. It sounds like it's gonna be emotional, like it could be capable of tugging at the reader's heartstrings. It looks like this book was copyrighted in 1971, but this printing was printed in October of 1990. So I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. I mean, but it sounds like a really good story. It sounds like there's this movie with Zac Efron. I think it's called like Charlie St. Cloud or something. It sounds like it's gonna be pretty similar to that. All right, then I found this book, and it's a Harper Trophy printing, and it looks like this author was the 1991 Edgar winner, and the title of the book is Stonewards, a Ghost Story, and the author is Pam Conrad. And the fact that it's early 90s, I mean, makes sense. You have a redheaded girl on the front cover. She looks a lot like Kelsey from Slime and Slashers. I just realized that. But anyway, She's in a house near a staircase and there's a shadow on the wall. So it's a good cover because it invites it compels the would-be reader to wonder what's going on. So let's go ahead. Oh, and this is in excellent condition, near mint copy. Great looking cover. It's not beat up. There's a little bit of a stain on the back cover. A little bit of paint has been peeled off from a sticker, but it's not that bad. I mean, at all. So like near mint, very close to mint condition. Okay, I heard a voice outside my front door. It was just one of my neighbors. Anyway, the summary on the back reads: The first time Zoe met Zoe Louise, Zoe was 4 years old. Zoe Louise was more than 100 from that day on, living in the same house, separated by a staircase and a century. Zoe and Zoe Louise have been an important and permanent part of each other's lives. Now Zoe is older, and although Zoe Louise never grows up, she is changing in dreadful, frightening ways. Time is running out for Zoe's best friend, and Zoe is the only one who can help her. To do so, she must travel back 100 years in time and somehow alter the past. But in changing the past, must she also change the present? If she saves her friend's life, will she lose Zoe Louise forever? That sounds like a good book. That sounds like a good story. And this was this first Harper Trophy edition was printed in 1991. So very cool. I wonder if this was the book that she won the Edgar Award for, because same year, 1991. All right. Then I found another copy of Ray Bradbury's The Halloween Tree. A really cool looking cover. I used to have this book, but I actually sent it to Shadyside Library a long time ago. I'm getting closer to the end of my middle grade books. I found this one. This is yet another Del Yearling classic, but this is an ex-library copy with the hardcover. And this one is called Tom's Midnight Garden by Philippa Pierce. And it used to belong to an elementary school from a small town a couple hours away from where I live in the same state. But it still has the library card. The last time this book was checked out was 1999. The first time it was checked out was 1994. Wow. But very cool. Excellent condition, excellent spine. Looks like this was printed the year and the month I was born, February of 1986. Okay. Let's go ahead and read the summary on back. Bored and lonely in the deep hours of the night, Tom lies awake with only the chiming of an old grandfather clock for company. But one midnight the clock chimes 13. Tom tiptoes downstairs to investigate. To his amazement, the moon is shining on the most splendid, lush garden that had not been in the backyard when Tom went to bed. Stranger still, the next morning the garden has vanished. Night after night, time stands still as Tom, summoned by the clock's chiming, explores the ghostly garden, wishing he could stay. Then one night he discovers he is not alone. Who is his ghostly, nocturnal companion? So if you look at the cover, you see this little boy, Tom, I'm guessing, peeking out the back door of his house, and it's nighttime, and there's a garden, and there's a little girl. And I'm guessing she's a ghost. She does look like she's from another period of time, and it's probably a little too late for a girl her age to be out. So, this sounds like a really good read. And it actually sounds, kind of similar to one of the other books that I was showcasing Which other one did I showcase that sounded similar? Stonewords, a ghost story. So it sounds kind of similar to that. So it sounds like they have a kind of a similar storyline. Then I found another Del Yearling book, and it's a paperback, and it's by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. And this book, so Phyllis Reynolds Naylor is the author of Shiloh, and I do have a number of her other books as well. So this one has a tagline on the front: come out wherever you are." Kind of like Anne Rice's Queen of the Damned, I guess. This one is called The Witch Herself. That's the title of the book. And look at this cover. Okay, I can kind of tell that this is probably a Victorian style home based on the vintage furniture in this kitchen. Look at that chair and that kitchen table. And you have this young girl, and you have this creepy old lady wearing all black creeping up on her. So let's go ahead and read the summary on back. Mrs. Tuggle is a witch. Lynn and her best friend Mouse are sure of that, but no one else is, and no one believes that Mrs. Tuggle is trying to turn others into witches to increase her power. In their search for a way to thwart the evil witch's plans, Lynn and Mouse discover that 50 years ago, a girl named Bertha had also suspected that Mrs. Tuggle was a witch. But she died and her body was never found. The girls are sure that Mrs. Tuggle was behind it. When Lynn's mother plans to move her writing studio into Mrs. Tuggle's old house for the winter, the girls are terrified for her safety. Can Lynn and Mouse save Mrs. Morley and destroy the witch's power before it destroys them? So that sounds like a pretty compelling story. This book was published in 1978, but this printing was printed in 1988, so it's almost as old as me. I wonder if there's any truth to this Mrs. Tuggle being a witch, or if the children just have like an overactive imagination. So this sounds like a good read. And it looks like the only flaw really is that some child must have scribbled in there with some marker. But otherwise, excellent condition, great spine, great cover. And is that it for my middle grade books? I believe so. Um, let's. Oh, actually, one more. So I've already found this book in the past, but I found the paperback. This is a hardback with a dust jacket, and this book is in excellent condition. I mean, like mint condition. And so it's really cool that I found the hardback. And it's called More Bones, Scary Stories from Around the World, selected and retold by Ariel North Olson and Howard Schwartz. I wonder if Howard Schwartz is related to Alvin Schwartz, from Scary Stories, and More Scary Stories and Even More Scary Stories. This book is from 2008. Okay, so it's not quite vintage, but it's knocking on vintage's door. And, it perfectly fits in with the rest of my book collection. So this was a cool find. Let's see. Oh, I think this one might be middle grade as well. I found an ex-used library copy of Sharon Creech's Walk to Moons. This was a book that we read as a class in fourth grade. I really enjoyed it. I thought I already owned a paperback copy of it, but I can't find it. So I'm guessing not. But I'm really glad that I found an ex-library hard copy. It used to belong to, I can't even find it, but I'm guessing a local school. Not sure, but it has a cellophane cover, a protective cellophane cover over the dust jacket. And It's in great condition. I love oh, okay, a local public library. But yeah, the pages haven't yellowed with age. There is a stamp telling me that it's an ex-library copy, and the spine is perfectly healthy. It's a Newbery award-winning book. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I found me this copy. All right, and so I believe that's it for my middle grade books. Or now let's move on to young adults. So here's an exciting find. I found it yesterday at that local bookstore where I got the Black Friday discount. And I found Caroline B. Cooney's Vampire Trilogy, so books 1, 2, and 3. They've been reprinted with a variant cover. Book number 1 has been retitled The Deadly Offer, originally titled The Cheerleader, and here's what it looks like. Then I found book number 2, The Vampire's Promise, but it's been, or this is the Vampire Promise trilogy, the Vampire's Promise trilogy, but book number 2, which was originally titled The Return of the Vampire, Evil Returns is what it's been retitled, and that's what the cover looks like. And then book number 3 in the Vampire's Promise trilogy was originally titled The Vampire's Promise, but it's been retitled The Fatal Bargain, and that's a really cool photo of like all this fire and a tower, a castle tower. So I already have like the vintage point scholastic printing of these books. And then I also found a few months ago a bind up of the entire trilogy in one volume. And now I have these reprints, so that's pretty cool. Then I have, I found this Richie Tankersley Cusick book, Overdue. And it's not a point horror, it's an archway paperback. And it's called Overdue. And if you look at the cover, there's this skeleton hand with a library stamp that says Overdue, and it's stamping I guess a library ID card of this young woman, and her library ID card is on top of the stack of books. And the tagline on the front reads, "The library was as silent as the grave." Now let's go ahead and read the summary on back. Book drop. It was after hours. Kathleen was preparing to close the library when somebody returned 5 grisly books about death. One was slashed. All were overdue. Then Kathleen found the bookmark with the deadly warning. Now people close to her are falling victim to tragic accidents. Someone is out for blood. Is it Robin, silent, shy, withdrawn? Is it Alexander, the dark, handsome stranger who haunts the library stacks and says he wants to help? Kathleen can count on only one thing. The killer will strike again. Her death is overdue. Okay, that sounds interesting. And this one is from 1995. So, very cool find. Very pleased that I found that at that local bookstore. And I got a Black Friday discount on it. So, let's see. I want to keep on doing young adult. So, and I'll save adult for last. So, this was an interesting one. It's called The Talisman by Cameron Doakey, and here's what the cover looks like. I've never heard of this one before, never seen it, never heard of it. I'm wondering if the publishing company is Zebra. It says Z Fave, and it's labeled as young adult horror. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to look. Z Fave is a Kensington Publishing Corporation. Is it tied to Zebra though? I don't see any reference to zebra, but looks like this book was printed in July of 1994. So I was like 8 when it came out. Never heard of it, never seen it, but very glad that I found it at a local thrift store about a week ago, and I got it for less than $2, so that was cool. But the cover, has a severed human hand holding a talisman pendant. And let's go ahead and read the summary on the back. Oh, wait, the tagline on the front reads, Dear Gina, by the time you read this, I may be dead. The summary on the back reads, Gina Cerventi is looking forward to meeting her best friend Diane Patterson at the medieval fair. But when a dead body turns up near the fairgrounds, Gina is horrified to discover that it's Diane. Gina's only real clue is a letter Diane had sent her just before she died. In it, she told Gina about a magic pendant she hid near the Night Owl Club. Gina finds the ancient talisman, only to discover that it possesses supernatural powers. Now, as a weird, shadowy guy starts stalking her, Gina must figure out the secret of the talisman before the wicked forces that destroyed Diane destroy her as well. Okay, so that was a really cool, exciting find. Also for young adult, I found this one by Leslie Rule. Never seen it, never heard of it. I'm very excited that I found it. Found it again last week at a local thrift store for less than $2. And it's called Whispers from the Grave. And I love the cover. Okay, there's a night sky. There's a big old Victorian home on the edge of a cliff near a beach. Full moon in the sky. Great title for a book, Whispers from the Grave. And there's an endorsement on the front cover from John Saul. John Saul says, This is a harrowing nail biter that will haunt you. Leslie Rule is a pure storyteller and a frightening talent. There's also a diary on the front cover with a page ripped out. And the diary that I can read reads, I kind of had the feeling someone was hiding in the bushes. I went around the house and locked all the windows just in case. Lately, I've had this really weird feeling that someone's watching me. And then the page that's torn out reads, Dear Diary, I think someone is trying to kill me. Now, let's go ahead and read the summary on back. Sisters of the Mind. The similarities between Jenna and Rita were uncanny. They looked and acted exactly alike. Each was experiencing the thrill of first love. Each was empowered with the gift of the supernatural. And each harbored dark secrets. Jenna and Rita could have been sisters. Except for one thing. Rita was murdered over a century ago. Out of the yellowed pages of her diary, Rita's frightening legacy is reborn. But the more Jenna reads of Rita's spellbinding past of murder, deception, and sinister experiments, the more she fears her own future. Because Rita's history is repeating itself, moment by horrifying moment, and Jenna has to live it. That sounds really good. And it sounds very similar to this book that I also found, Stone Words, A Ghost Story by Pam Conrad. And Squib and Mirror Mirror sound a lot alike as well. So I'm detecting reoccurring themes in some of these books, as far as the story that is going to be told in these books. All right, so I also found a copy of Ray Bradbury's The Halloween Tree. I used to, it's a very cool looking cover. I used to have a copy of this. This is another It doesn't say Dell, it says a yearling book, but I mean, think that they're connected, aren't they? Aren't they tied together? I used to have a copy of this, but I sent it to Shady Side Library in one of our book swaps back in the day. It doesn't say anything about Dell. This book originally came out in 1972, but this printing was from January of 2001. So it's still vintage, even though it's a reprint, but it's in like excellent, excellent condition. All right. Let's see. Okay. So, I found this. I found another Caroline B. Cooney book, and it's called Both Sides of Time, and it's a laurel leaf printing. I have a bunch of Lois Duncan's books printed from laurel leaf. So let's. There's no tagline on the front. There's a young lady, and there's these people off in the distance riding bikes. Let's go ahead and read the summary on the back. Imagine changing centuries and making things worse, not better, on both sides of time. Imagine being involved in two love triangles in two different centuries. Imagine discovering that no matter which direction you travel in time, you must abandon someone you love. Meet 15-year-old Annie Lockwood, a romantic living in the wrong century. When she travels back 100 years and lands in 1895, a time when privileged young ladies wear magnificent gowns, attend elegant parties, and are courted by handsome gentlemen, Annie at last finds romance. But she is a trespasser in time. Will she choose to stay in the past? And if she does, will she be allowed to stay? And then the school library journal says Cooney has written not only a love story, a time travel fantasy, and a murder mystery, but also a provocative and powerful examination of women, marriage, and relationships in 2 centuries. That does actually sound really good. It does sound like it leans, towards the romance, but it also sounds like it's adjacent to horror and it offers suspense and thrills as well. Let's see. So this copy was printed in February of 1997. I don't already own a copy of this, and I'm very proud to have yet another Caroline B. Cooney acquisition to my collection. All right, then I found this. Okay, I found this trilogy by Elizabeth Chandler, and I don't know which order it goes in, but there's It's the Dark Secrets trilogy, and I have Legacy of Lies. I have No Time to Die, and I have Don't Tell. And I have no idea what order they go in, but I found these at that local bookstore yesterday, and I got the Black Friday discount, so that was cool. All right, I'm just gonna move on because this video is getting kind of long. Um, I found this one. This is a Dell fiction book, and the author's name is Victor Milan. And I picked this up at that local bookstore yesterday. It was on clearance, and it's called The War Party. And the reason, and it's got like these Native Americans on the cover, but it also has like these like white people as well. Sorry to make it like racial, but anyway, the reason I bought it is because they made it into a movie, and I've seen the movie, and the movie stars Billy Wirth, who played in The Lost Boys. He was one of the Lost Boys that hung out with Kiefer Sutherland, and he was the star in this movie. And I've seen the movie, and I liked it, and I'm a fan of Billy Wirth. I think he's a good actor. I like a couple of his movies. The Lost Boys, The Red Shoe Diaries, not the softcore corn series from like Showtime back in the 90s, but like the original movie, which was a dark romance movie. He was in that with the dude from the X-Files, Mulder. But anyway, I've seen the movie, so I went ahead and picked up the book. So anyway, um, here's and I don't know if that's young adult or not. Yeah, it's probably young adult. Okay. Then I picked up this point book, and I don't know if it's point horror, but it seems like it's adjacent to horror. It's like sci-fi suspense, sci-fi thriller, sci-fi horror. The Only Alien on the Planet by Kristen D. Randall. And there's a picture of a boy sleeping out in a field, but it looks like he's like hovering, floating while he sleeps. And the tagline on the front reads, "No one belonged in his world, but that's about to change." And the summary on the back reads, "Something's seriously wrong with him. They've all gotten used to him, the one who never speaks, the one who never smiles. They all say he's retarded. So though his name is Smitty, they call him the Alien. And from the moment Jenny sees him, she knows she has to meet him. But she's been feeling weird since she and her family moved from the West Coast. She knows what it's like to feel alone. Jenny decides to become his friend, but Smitty is very different from anyone Jenny has ever known, and she soon realizes that reaching out to him might destroy him, because in his world there is no love, no pain, no room for anything or anyone, until Jenny comes along." Okay, the fact that the R word was in the synopsis, you can definitely tell this is from the 90s, 1995. I make no apologies. I'm not the one that wrote it, okay? So I don't want to hear it in the comment section. And you know what? I shouldn't even be lecturing you guys because you guys are such a cool audience. Like, I have, like, no negative comments on any of my videos. Well, I mean, the one that I did about Megadeth, but that was the video was for a different audience, so I don't count that. But the rest of you guys are like totally cool and have been this whole entire time. Thank you for that. All right. Well, I am down to 4 final books, and these are for adults. The first one that I have is called Later by Stephen King. Okay. And I haven't heard of this one. I haven't, but I went ahead and picked it up. And there's a boy, like a high school boy, maybe middle school boy, and there's a lovely young lady sitting on a car, and I can't really figure out what's going on here, but the tagline on the front reads, "Only the dead have no secrets." Let's go ahead and read the summary on back. All right. Sometimes growing up means facing your demons. The son of a struggling single mother, Jamie Conklin, just wants an ordinary childhood. But Jamie is no ordinary child. Born with an unnatural ability his mom urges him to keep secret, Jamie can see what no one else can see and learn what no one else can learn. But the cost of using his ability is higher than Jamie can imagine, as he discovers when an NYPD detective draws him into the pursuit of a killer who has threatened to strike from beyond the grave. Later is Stephen King at his finest, a terrifying and touching story of innocence lost and the trials that test our sense of right and wrong. With echoes of King's classic novel It, Later is a powerful, haunting, unforgettable exploration of what it takes to stand up to evil in all the faces it wears. That does sound good. And while I was reading the synopsis, I was starting to think, oh, it looks like it has some of the coming of age aspects of It. But then if he has this unnatural ability and there's a killer coming from beyond the grave, It also seems like it has shades of The Shining. I bet you this Jamie Conklin boy has The Shining. And that sounds really, really good. And it looks like this is being marketed as a crime novel, but it also has, shades of horror in it as well. So I do look forward to reading this. All right. So I have three more books for you, and these are also adults. Let's go ahead and let me show you another or a Richard Lehman book. So I now have this is either my second or my third Richard Lehman books. I have not read any of them, and I wouldn't even know who Richard Lehman was if it wasn't for like Kelsey from Slime and Slashers and from Cameron Chaney's channels. But this is one that I've been wanting to find for a long time, and it's called Bite. It's in mint condition. I found it yesterday at that local bookstore. I got it with that Black Friday sale. I was very happy to have found it because it's a vampire novel. And if I am going to read a Richard Lehman book, I would love to start with this one, a vampire novel. But it's in such good condition, I don't want to read it and mess it up. It's like mint. Okay, but real quick, well, let me show you the cover. Okay, so that's a really, really cool looking cover, and there's a vampire stake on it. And it looks like it's either dusk or dawn on the cover. Let's go ahead and... Oh, this is a leisure horror book. Okay, so that's cool. And let's see what year this came out. This was from June of 1999. Very cool. Let's read the summary on back. No one... he's got an endorsement from Dean Koontz. No one writes like Lehman, and you're going to have a good time with anything he writes. And then Stephen King says, if you've missed Lehman, you've missed a treat. Good for Richard Lehman. He gets to put an endorsement from King and Koontz on his book. Very cool. But let's get into the synopsis. It's almost midnight. Cat's on the bed, face down and naked. Cat, like that's a woman's name. So it's almost midnight. Cat's on the bed, face down and naked. She's Sam's former girlfriend, the only woman he's ever loved. Sam's in the closet with a hammer in one hand and a wooden stake in the other. Together they wait as the clock ticks down because the vampire is coming. When Kat first appeared at Sam's door, he couldn't believe his eyes. He hadn't seen her in 10 years, but he'd never forgotten her, not for a second. But before this night is through, Sam will enter a nightmare of blood and fear that he'll never be able to forget, no matter how hard he tries. Interesting. I wonder if she's a vampire and he has to kill her. I wonder if that's what the plot is. I don't know. But it does sound good, and if I read a Richard Lehman book, this is the one I want to start with. All right. So the next book that I have is called The Hitman Cometh, a Frank Branco novel. I don't think I meant to buy this. I think I grabbed it, looked at it, and then it got left over in my stack. Let's go ahead and read the summary on back, though. Whacked in Southern California, one cop was on roller skates, another was moonlighting as a bodyguard when a hitman went after the leader of an anti-corn rally in Southern California. The target was the Reverend Terry O. Williams, TV evangelist and political hopeful. But it was homicide detective Frank Branco's partner, the moonlighting cop, who got whacked. Branco's looking for the killer, but his suspects are a rare collection of California kooks. The preacher's fanatical wife, a drop-dead gorgeous Spyglass Hill widow, a lesbian killer for hire, and a millionaire mercenary who takes his Uzi to bed. They'll turn Branco's Gold Coast beat into a piranha's playground where erotic games send kisses and bullets flying, fast, hot, and deadly. That sounds kind of cool, actually. Let's see. This book was from 1988, and the author's name is Robert J. Ray. The title, of course, is called "The Hitman Cometh," a Frank Brinko novel. I don't like to buy books in his that are part of a series unless I read the whole series, like Alex Cross or something like that. So I don't think I picked this up on purpose. I think it was an accident. I got it yesterday at the local bookstore with a Black Friday sale. And my last book, this one is really cool. I also found this at that local bookstore with a Black Friday sale, and it's a zebra horror book, and it's called Shadow Child by Joseph A. Citro. Okay, very cool looking cover. Menacing looking clown holding balloons. And the tagline on the front reads, "In the backwoods of Vermont, chilling terror awaits the Shadow Child." Let's read the summary on back. Old Evil. It had been years since Eric Nolan had gazed at the garden and gold hills of Vermont. Years since he let himself remember his brother Brian, who had disappeared without a trace. Now he was going back, no longer a little boy who couldn't understand why his brother had left him behind, and no longer afraid to return to the house of his childhood, where the nightmare had started. Young terror. Uncle Eric was coming to stay with them. His parents hadn't told him, but Luke knew. He was only 4 years old, but sometimes he knew things that had even his parents didn't know. He was only 4 years old, but sometimes he knew things that even his parents didn't know. Heard things that they couldn't hear, especially in the dark. Uncle Eric would understand about the strange voices. Maybe he would keep him safe, keep him from running to the evil that called to him, luring him, just like Brian, into a darkness that would swallow him up. Shadow Child. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. Great condition. The cover's in excellent condition. The edge of the pages have yellowed, but the pages are pristine white. Very cool. Let's see, what year is this from? 1987. This was the first printing, July 1987. Very cool that I own it. Sounds like a fun read. All right, that was a long one, guys. Thank you for hanging in there with me. This was a really cool book haul, man. I was really happy. I need to start being a good boy with my money again. The economy caught up to me. And I used to have a certain amount in my bank account that I don't have anymore. And so I'm starting to do this less and less. I'm starting to be more financially responsible, and I'm still gonna hit up thrift stores and stuff for books from time to time, but probably not as often as I used to. I'm starting to get caught back up, but just starting to, so that's just kind of something that's going on in my life at the moment. But this was a really, really fun, epic book haul. I was really pleased with the thrift store haul from last week and the Black Friday haul from yesterday. This was really fun. Thank you guys for watching. Horns up, peace out, and cheers.